Have you ever noticed that the heaviest chains are the ones we cannot see? We walk through our lives believing we are free men and women, running across open fields of possibility. But if you look closely at your ankles, and if you feel the weight around your wrists, you might find that you are bound by something far stronger than iron. Iron rusts and rope decays, but gold only shines brighter with time. Today I want to speak to you about the most seductive trap in the human experience, which is the trade we make when we sell our freedom for comfort. We call this the golden handcuffs. It is a beautiful phrase for a terrible reality. It suggests that we are prisoners of our own success, and that we have built a cage so luxurious that we are terrified to leave it. But I ask you this: is a bird in a cage made of diamonds any freer than a bird in a cage made of rusted wire? The bird does not care about the market value of the bars. The bird only knows that it cannot fly. I want to tell you a story about a man I knew. Let us call him Julian. Julian was not born with a desire for power. When he was young, he wanted to write poetry. He wanted to sit by the ocean and understand the language of the waves. He had a fire in his belly that was warm and bright. But the world came to Julian, as it comes to all of us, and it whispered a different story. The world told him that poetry does not pay the rent. The world told him that safety is the highest virtue. So Julian made a compromise. It is always a compromise at first. A small negotiation with the devil of practicality. He told himself, I will work in the high tower for 10 years. I will make my fortune. I will build a fortress of security. And then when I am safe, I will go back to the ocean and I will write my poems. It sounded like a wise plan. It sounded responsible. So Julian put on the suit. It was a stiff suit, at first scratching against his skin, but soon it softened, or perhaps his skin hardened. He entered the glass building. He learned the language of the spreadsheet and the rhythm of the quarterly review. And he was good at it. Competence is a dangerous thing when it is applied to the wrong task, because the world rewards competence with more responsibility. Julian climbed. He moved from a cubicle to an office, and from an office to a corner suite. The money began to flow. It flowed like a river during a storm. And here is where the handcuffs began to form. They did not snap shut with a click. They grew around his wrists like vines. First, he bought the car. It was a machine of beauty, silent and fast. Then he bought the house. It was a mansion of glass on a hill overlooking the city he was too busy to enjoy. Then came the private schools for the children he rarely saw, and the vacations he spent checking his email. The lifestyle swelled to fill the container of his income. This is the first law of the golden handcuffs. Your needs will always expand to match your means until your luxuries become necessities. Julian looked at his life, and he saw success. But if you looked into his eyes on the train ride home, you saw a graveyard. The poet was dead. The man who loved the ocean was drowning in a sea of data. He began to fear. He did not fear starvation. He feared the loss of the gold. He feared that without the title, without the bonus, without the validation of the market, he was nothing. He had outsourced his identity to his bank account. I remember meeting him for dinner one rainy evening. We sat in a restaurant where the wine cost more than a week of his father's labor. He looked tired. Not the good tiredness of a day spent in honest creation, but the toxic exhaustion of a soul that is starving while the body is overfed. I asked him a simple question. I asked him, Julian, where is the poetry? He laughed, but it was a dry sound like leaves scraping on pavement. He touched his expensive watch. He said, I cannot stop now. I have the mortgage. I have the club membership. I have the expectations. People rely on me. I am too deep in. I will do 5 more years. Just 5 more. Then I will be free. I looked at him, and I saw the tragedy of the deferred life. We tell ourselves that we are buying freedom, but we are actually selling time. And time is the only currency that matters, because it is the only currency that cannot be printed. Julian was trading his irretrievable hours for numbers on a screen. He was selling his Tuesday mornings and his quiet Sundays and the energy of his youth. And for what? For a comfort that numbed him, for a status that isolated him. The golden handcuffs are so dangerous because they are warm. They feel like an embrace. They tell you that you have made it. They tell you that you are special. But they demand a price. The price is your autonomy. When you need the money to maintain the cage, you are no longer the master of your fate. You are the servant of your lifestyle. You must say yes when you want to say no. You must smile when you want to scream. You must stay when every fiber of your being tells you to run. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a forest. You carry a backpack. Every time you buy something you do not need, every time you upgrade your life to impress people, you do not like, you place a heavy stone in that backpack. At first you are strong. You can carry it. You say, look at how much I have. Look at my stones. But as the years go by, the path gets steeper. Your back begins to bend. You cannot look up at the sky because the weight forces your eyes to the ground. You forget the forest. You forget the birds. You only know the weight. This was Julian. He was crushed by the weight of his own accumulation. And the cruelest joke was that he didn't even enjoy the gold. The expensive wine tasted like water because his mind was always on the next deal. The beautiful house felt like a museum because there was no laughter in the halls. He had everything, but he possessed nothing. We must ask ourselves why we do this. Why do we volunteer for this servitude? It is because we are terrified of the void. We are terrified that if we strip away the job title and the car and the address, we will find that there is no one home. We use money as a shield against the existential question of who we are. If I am the vice president, then I have a place in the tribe. If I am the rich man, then I matter. To take off the handcuffs requires a courage that few possess. It requires you to stand naked before the mirror and ask, am I enough without the gold? Julian never went back to the ocean. He had a heart attack at his desk at the age of 55. The company sent flowers. They were beautiful, expensive flowers. They withered in 3 days. His position was filled before the funeral. The golden handcuffs were unlocked by death, which is the only key that fits if you do not forge your own. The tragedy is not that he died. The tragedy is that he never lived. He spent his entire existence preparing to live. He was a rehearsal for a play that never opened. So I speak to you now, not as a judge, but as a fellow traveler. Look at your wrists. Do you see the glint of gold? Do you feel the weight? Perhaps you are just starting your journey. You are young, and you think you can handle the trade. You think you can take the money and keep your soul. Be careful. The cuffs are lined with velvet, but the lock is steel. Or perhaps you are already deep in the trap. You are tired. You are driving a car. You hate a job. You despise to pay for a house you never sleep in. I am here to tell you that the key is in your pocket. The key is the realization that you need far less than you think you do. Freedom is not having more. Freedom is needing less. When you reduce your needs, the handcuffs slip off. When you stop trying to impress the world, you can finally hear yourself think. It is a terrifying moment to walk away from the gold. The world will call you crazy. They will say you are throwing away your potential. But they are speaking from inside their own cages. They are trying to validate their own imprisonment by keeping you in yours. Imagine a life where you own your time. It might be a smaller life on the outside. You might drive an older car. You might live in a smaller room. But inside that room there is space. There is silence. There is the ability to wake up in the morning and ask, what do I want to create today? Not what do I have to do to survive? That is true wealth. Do not let the shiny things distract you from the real treasure. The real treasure is your attention. The real treasure is your capacity to love and to wonder and to be present. Do not be like Julian. Do not wait for the imaginary future where you are allowed to be yourself. That future is a mirage. It moves away from you as you approach it. There is only now. If your soul is crying out in the middle of the night, listen to it. It is the only voice that tells the truth. Break the chains. Let the gold fall to the floor. It will make a loud noise and people will stare. Let them stare. Then turn around and walk toward the ocean. Walk toward the forest. Walk toward the version of yourself that you left behind at the crossroads. It is better to be a free man in rags than a slave in a suit of armor. Because in the end, when the final breath comes, the gold stays here. It belongs to the earth. But the soul goes with you. Make sure it is not too heavy to fly.